What's up, duelists? This last weekend was RBET Indianapolis, and before we get into the deck list, I just want to give a bunch of thank yous, and I want to talk about a few things. So, yeah, first things first, RBET Santa Clara and Chicago are coming out. Chicago might already be sold out. I need to check, but if it isn't, there's like maybe 10 spots left. So, check that, and Santa Clara is almost sold out as well. Don't sleep on these events. They are the best ran Edison tournaments in the world, some of the best ran tournaments in the world, and yeah. Thank you to all the community members who came together to make this happen super last minute. For those of you who don't know, a brief summary. Yu-Gi-Oh! Nats was happening in Indianapolis last weekend. Slated to be the biggest Edison tournament in modern history. Konami cancels it 3 weeks before the event. A bunch of players, hundreds of players, had already booked travel, had already booked stay. They wanted to play Edison format. They had prepared to play Edison format. And so I came together with a bunch of the community figureheads, and we were able to put together this event within a week, which is incredible. I mean, I don't even know how we did that. I need to reflect on it and see if I can duplicate it, because it was a miracle, honestly. We got very, very fortunate. We were able to book the University of Indianapolis. They were very accommodating. They gave us this great venue that had screens for the timers and everything, as well as a cafeteria with all-you-can-eat food and options like that for a very, very low price, which was awesome. Shout out to all the Florida boys, Jafaro, Rob the Man, all the guys who came together to help us. Jorge, of course, put this event together last minute. Those guys sacrificed being able to play in an event that they had planned on traveling to in order to make this event happen. Shout out to Totagon for producing one of the best produced streams of all time. Shout out to Who Needs Meta for judging this event as well. Subscribe to Who Needs Meta. Shout out to Yggdrasil Sil Materius, the GOATs, for their gift donations to the community. You guys saw the beautiful mats. You already know they're immaculate. The mats are literally priceless treasures. 1 of 8, you know what I mean? Like stuff that you could only get if you were at this historic event. And all of it came together in literally the blink of an eye because we responded to the community's call for action, basically. So I'm really proud of it. We managed to run a 12-round tournament in 11 hours, which if you've ever ran a tournament, tell me you could do that. Like, that's just insane. We started the tournament on time. The tournament was ruled exceptionally well. The judging was immaculate. Everything was, the vibes were immaculate. We were able to provide waters for the whole tournament for the entire day, which, I mean, that just like increased the vibe ceiling. The food was great. The venue was beautiful. Everyone seemed to have a great time. Everyone I talked to, a bunch of my close friends managed to come to this as well, creator friends as well. Shout out to, of course, Doug, Ruxin34, Alex, and Gage, who managed the top 4 of this event, as well as all the other Edison creators like Eric, Shen, Metaphos, all those guys who played in and topped this event, HT19 as well. All the boys, Swagger, you guys know. You guys know. This was a star-studded cast. This was one of the most stacked events of all time. And it was really, really cool. It was a great community W. On top of that, this event was profitable. We managed to pay the judges double what Konami pays. We managed to, again, cover waters for the entire tournament attendees, including people who were there just for side events. We managed to do all of that, and have a little bit on the top extra, which we were able to donate to No Kid Hungry. We made a donation of the excess profits, which was $206 to No Kid Hungry in memory of Kazuki Takahashi, the GOAT who created this game that brought us all together. So on top of that, we managed to put stuff towards a good cause, and yeah, it's just the vibe is really, really immaculate. Let's get into the top 16 deck lists, and then after that, I'm going to cover Konami's response to this event and a few other things moving forward that we're going to be doing as a community. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys. Anyone who supported this event, you're the GOAT. You're seriously, this doesn't happen without a community effort. We may have spearheaded this, I may have spearheaded this, but a lot of people came together, like even down to like Karem for recommending the venue, like down to everyone who contributed even a little piece of advice to this. We took everyone's words into consideration, and everyone who contributed to this event made sure they got they're just whatevers. Anyway, let's see the top 16 deck list. First things first, top 16, Pizza, aka Anthony Desai, making him now the number 1 topping RBET IRL player in the world. He's topped the most RBET IRLs out of any player, which is insane. He did this one with Vayu Turbo. I actually roomed with Pizza. For those of you who don't know, Pizza was recently unjustly banned by Konami. So just from instant L to Konami to instant W for the community, Pizza shows that he's him. He's one of the players. He's one of the top dogs, and he didn't come to fuck around. He wanted that beautiful mat with Kaya's brain control on it, as did everyone else in the venue. And he pulled up with Vayu Turbo. We tested a lot before the event. He played a bunch of different decks against me. I was playing zombies against him, and this was the deck that he felt like he was the most comfortable with. I tried to pill him on zombies, but he liked the deck, but he felt he didn't have enough practice with it. So maybe next time we'll see him on a different deck. He is, of course, the only player to top an RBET with Norlaris, which he has done twice. He's topped with a wide variety of decks, and this one was done with Vayu Turbo. This looks like a very similar list to Sackphase's list, the main deck especially. The side deck looks pretty similar as well, a lot of usual suspects. Almost a stock list, but I can understand why Pizza was comfortable with this, because it's a good deck. It's tried and true. You know, a lot of people are not still, for some reason, preparing heavily for Vayu Turbo. After this tournament, maybe they will be. Maybe people will start bringing in a little bit more targeted hate for this deck and a little bit less generic hate. So, yeah, Vayu Turbo is going to be kind of the story of this event. There were a lot of Vayu Turbos in the top cut once again, so that's really cool, I guess, for Vayu Turbo enjoyers. The mirror match is brutal. It did claim a lot of lives. I believe it also claimed Pizza's live. I could be wrong. He might have lost to Black Wings in top 16. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pizza. I know you're going to be commenting. I don't remember everything. All right, moving on. Congratulations to Pizza for becoming the #1 most topping player currently. Someone come dethrone his bitch ass. I can only listen to it for so long. All right, no, I'm just kidding. I love you, Pizza. All right. 15th is going to be Ryanide's special take on Pure Lightsworn. This deck is gasoline. Ryanide actually, the weekend before RBET Indy, got, I believe, first place? Question mark, second place, first place? I think he got first place at the PPG event that I entered because he managed to dodge me. That's all I'll say. No, I'm just kidding. He probably would have destroyed me. This deck looks immaculate. It looks really, really cool. Some interesting decisions to talk about here. Let's talk about the trap lineup. 3 Beckoning, 3 Threatening Roar. Just going for maximum consistency. He wants to see his battle phase stops, and he wants to see his recursion, and he wants to spam that JD and those Honest as much as possible until he wins the game. Let's look at the monster lineup a little bit here. Only 1 Raikou. A little bit slow going second. Not the best. Leaves you a little bit exposed. Doesn't guarantee you mills in the end phase or at all. If your opponent wants to push and your only miller is Raikou, coming back is going to be very difficult, so he opted to go down to 1. Makes a lot of sense to me. 2 Lila, sometimes you'll see 3, but 2 is perfectly fine. 1700 is a little bit of a weak stat line. Doesn't get over some of the key monsters in this format, namely Laquari, Greffer, Stratos, Shura, and Sirocco. So, yeah, only 2 Lila. Cutting Gores entirely from the main, opting for Cyber Dragons. Extra aggressive pressure for going second. Triple Celestia in the pure builds, you got to go with Triple Celestia. This is your mini JD. Triple Jane. This is actually an innovation that I quite like. It's great into Deck Devastation Virus. It's great into Blackwings. Great into Glads. The gain attack effect does not actually activate, so it cannot be charioted. So it's just a 2100 attacker. Runs over Sirocco. Crashes with Cyber Dragon. It's one of the biggest normal summons in the format, so he opts to play the full 3. Double Arcus. This card helps you a ton against frogs. And especially because of the double Honest, triple Beckoning, you're able to defend it quite frequently with Honest. Arcus Honest is one of the most annoying setups in the entire format. And against some decks like Glad, set Arcus turn 1 is actually really, really strong. For spell and trap removal, he's got Heavy Storm, Cold Wave, the bangers, you don't need more than that. And then just Necro and Plague and Triple Wolf for great mills and foolish targets. So 5 great mills, including the names, and yeah, just spam JD, the best boss monster next to Christia in the format, arguably. Moving into the sideboard, he's got some really interesting choices. Trap Stun over Decree is something I really like. Allows him to keep Oppression live or keep his Threatening Roars live and Beckoning Lights live, but allows him to go for that push on the turn he needs to go for it. More spell and trap removal, True Nate, Space Typhoon, and My Body's a Shield. Love that from him. Royal Oppression, this is got to be for those combo decks and Glads. Same thing with Jowgen, but Jowgen's really interesting because in this deck, you can actually spam it with Beckoning Lights. So even if you mill it, you can get it back quite easily with those Beckoning Lights, and then you can use it as a recurable Lightning Vortex in some matchups. This card is really, really disgusting. The more I play with it in Fairies, the more I like it in Modern Edison format. So I expect to see a lot more of this card moving forward, especially in light decks that can abuse it. That side deck Gores, triple Arcus in the side for those Raikou matchups or those matchups where he really shines, like Frog Monarchs, and then one Consecrated to spam against Blackwings with Beckoning. So altogether, a really, really tight list. Only thing in the extra deck that needs to be mentioned is Tempest Magician can be used to set up your grave for JD or burn people out. You can make it with Lila, so that's something worth mentioning. The deck doesn't look too weak to Light Mirror, but you know, it has enough outs between the Trap Stuns, the Space Typhoon, the Trunade, and the Heavy Storm. And I think that just going for aggressive decks like this is going to get you a lot of mileage, especially aggressive decks that can blow shit up so that you just don't need to think about things like Dupe Lock as a defensive tactic from Frog decks, for example. That's another thing that Jane does really well, is it attacks overset Dupe Frogs, which is immaculate based. All right, moving on. Shout out to Ryanide for 2 back-to-back insane finishes with his innovative Lightshorn list. 14th place is going to be Niels. Niels played Vayu Turbo. So we're going to talk about Vayu Turbo a lot in this video, like I said. But shout out to Niels for making it all the way to top 16. There's going to be a lot of micro decisions. One is going to be main deck oppression. Niels, I think, was the only player to main deck oppression in this Vayu Turbo list. Now there's going to be 40 versus 41 cards. A lot of people play 41. A lot of people play 40. It's about mixed, 50-50, I'd say, on the 40 versus 41 crowd. And then another thing is whether or not people play Chaos Sorcerer. The second Caius, actually. A lot of people cut that for this tournament, which is interesting. And then the sideboard strategies here. There's no Lightning Vortex. There's no My Body as a Shield. He's opting to go for 1 Crow, 1 Kaiku as his Graveyard Hate. So pretty light on the Graveyard Hate. Solemn Judgment in the side is more common than not. I actually do like this card in the main, personally. But people don't like it in the mirror match and against Blackwings, so they tend to side it. Side deck Starlight Road is another option for siding in against Blackwings. But yeah, he did have that main deck Royal Oppression. I think main deck Royal Oppression is really good outside of the mirror, and it's okay in the mirror at 1. So I think that it depends on how much mirror match you expect to see, and it depends on like what other decks you expect to see. You know what I mean? So we'll get into that. We'll get into that as we see more of these deck lists, but that's the big one here. No Chaos Sorcerer as well. Probably makes sense alongside that main deck Royal Oppression. No charge to get down to 40 cards. Extra deck is pretty standard. He does have the Chimera attack because he's playing the Cyber Dragons. No Lightning Vortex. Triple Dust Tornado is something we see a lot of in this deck. I don't know. People like it. I think it's fine. Back row can sometimes be a pain in this deck's ass. So yeah, Triple Dust Tornado makes a little bit of sense. It's also a nice card to set into opposing Raikous in the mirror match. All right, moving on. Congratulations to Niels. We got 13th place, Lucas. Lucas, who played Diva Hero. Before we talk about Lucas's deck list and Lucas's run, I want to make a little bit of a PSA. Your tournament run starts when you put your pen to paper on your deck list. There were 2 players that had deck list errors moving into top 16 that had written incorrect things on their deck list. And it's clear to me here that Lucas was in a hurry when writing his deck list, and he only wrote 1 absolute 0 on his deck list. As a result, when your decks are checked in top 16, if there's no clear malicious intent, as is the case with this, why would you want only 1 absolute 0? There's no malicious intent here. It's a clear mistake. You will be awarded a game loss, and you'll be required to play this, basically. 1 absolute 0 in your extra deck. If the deck list error is in the main deck, you'll be forced to remove that card from your deck, and you'll be forced to remove a card from your side deck and put it into your main deck, moving into game 2, because of that game loss, of course, and for the duration of Top Cut if you manage to win that match after being forced down a game. Now, Lucas, obviously, this probably affected his run. Definitely affected his run. Had he not messed up his deck list, there's a very good chance he makes it into top 8. He gets a whole extra game to work with. He's no longer tilted after being awarded an auto loss, and it's an instant run killer. On top of that, we were doing random decklist checks throughout the day just to make sure people in the tournament had filled out their tournament decklist properly and were not doing anything, against the rules. So yeah, let this be a lesson to everyone watching this. Make sure your decklists are filled out properly and ahead of time. Make sure your decklists are double checked by a friend or someone that is on the internet. You can just message someone in the Really Big Yu-Gi-Oh! Discord. I'm sure they'd be happy to help you. Double check your deck list, make sure it's filled out properly. And when you do potentially make it into Top Cut because you've worked really hard and paid money and spend a ton of time preparing for this event, you don't get that game lost because you haven't made that mistake. So this could happen to anyone. It happens to top players all the time. I think on average at these RBETs and at events in general, when going into the top cut deck checks, there is one deck list error on average. Don't let it be you in the future. All right, Diva Hero is a deck that was one of the most popular decks in Edison format in 2022. And it kind of fell by the wayside, even though it has an RBET win this year at RBET LA, and it has countless RBET tops despite the diminished representation. I think this deck is underrepresented in Edison format. I think this deck is very good. This is like a high tier deck, in my opinion, tier 1.5, tier 1 deck. It plays a lot of broken cards. It's probably the best Miracle Fusion deck in the format next to maybe Hero Frogs. That's debated. And part of the reason this deck maybe fell a little bit by the wayside is because Hero Frogs is an uptick in popularity for those hero players that want to play something a little bit more grindy. But this deck is just faster, more explosive, and more inherently powerful than Hero Frog decks are. They have a less consistent engine to be working with, but they have more raw power, namely in cards like Dark Arm Dragon, Malicious Play, Grepher plays, and Future Fusion being more consistently in the deck list, alongside being able to play a heavier trap lineup with Return from the Different Dimension in the main. I do think this deck is quite good, quite strong. Deep Sea Diva is your main power play maker. There's a lot of cool setups like Evil Hero, Future Fusion, and Deep Sea Diva is an Arm Colossal OTK. There's a bunch of different cool things you can do. It's a Grepher Armageddon Knight deck where you get access to a lot of power plays through those guys. They set up your Dark Arm Dragon consistently. It's one of the best Caius decks in the format because you have a consistent turn 1 Caius going second thanks to the Evil Hero Infernal Prodigy, as well as Brain Control. And you get to play basically a lot of the best cards in the format to their fullest potential. You just kind of got to deal with drawing Gilman and drawing Malicious here and there. And that obviously isn't great. But you know what I'm saying? Like, outside of that, you're playing a handful of really busted cards. The sideboard strategy here from Lucas is really cool. I like siding in the soul exchanges with some tribute monsters. He can then have an even more consistent Caius going turn 1 going second. And then on top of that, he's got interactive cards like DD Crow, Deep Prison Dust Tornado, just catch-alls to make sure that he isn't getting his shit pushed in by Black Wings. Snowman Eater, another card that contributes to the strategy because it helps against the aggressive decks, especially under Royal Oppression, can help you pivot into Caius, and it provides a water for your Miracle Fusion payoff plays. The only issue here, obviously, is that he forgot to put fucking 3 Absolute Zero on his extra deck, so let this be a lesson to everyone watching this. It's already been a lesson to Lucas. I'm sure he'll never mess it up again. If I remember correctly, Lucas traveled with his brother, who also played a similar deck. He played Teledad in this tournament, and his brother just barely missed top cut. So, a brother testing partner, I'm not exactly certain if that's the case, but shout out to you guys. Thank you for coming to RBT, and I hope to see you again in top cut because I know you guys are kind of cracked with it. I was watching some of your games and was kind of cracked with it. All right, moving on. 12th place, Daniel. Daniel was playing the Vayu Turbo as well, cut down to 1 hamster, and main deck Dust Tornado over Trap Dust Shoot, another interesting way to sort of harass mirror matches, but also a way to deal with Black Whirlwind going second. Yeah, I like this list from Daniel. Some really interesting ones in the sideboard. Double Icarus, single Eradicator. The single Eradicator over Solemn Judgment is really interesting to me because as I'm looking at this deck list, normally if people are playing Eradicator Epidemic Virus, they're playing the card Elfin the Raven. And the reason they're playing this is because it turns Grepher into an instant Armor Master, which turns on the Eradicator. As far as this deck list goes, you don't have the easiest Eradicator. You have Dad, of course, and you have Gores of Gores. You know what I'm saying? But outside of those two cards, it's like Sirocco Pump, which will cost you your turn, I guess. And then hard synchro into Dot Ruler with Gale, or hard synchro into Armor Master with Gale, and then ladder from Armed Wing into Armor Master with Vayu. It's not undoable. It's not undoable for sure. It's just you have to commit before using the Eradicator quite a bit. So it's a little bit difficult to say whether or not this would be better than Solemn, which could help protect that initial commitment a little bit better than maybe the Eradicator could. That being said, Eradicator is fucked up insane in the matchups where it's good, so Yeah, I just want to take a second look at his deck list here. I have the paper ones just to make sure I didn't miss an Elfin. Which place is this? I don't remember which place this was. 12th or something like that. Yeah, let me take a look. Yeah, it doesn't look like he has Elfin in here. Just Siroko's and Vayus. So that's really interesting to me. Double Icarus. This is a card that I know Demetrius had success with at the Champions of Champions level, RBET Rulers, the World Championship of Edison format. But yeah, interesting stuff. And sighting Dust Shoot. Also interesting over the Dust Tornado. Sighting no further Dust Tornadoes, electing for Icarus attack to be the spot removal. Maybe that's good. I don't know. Only 7 targets for Icarus attack, but you have more access to him technically with Grepher. A little bit more access. Not that much more access. Just a little bit more than 7, I'd say. A little bit higher than 7. All right, moving on. Congratulations to Daniel. Top 16's pretty lit. All right, 11th place, Jose. Again on Vayu Turbo. Again, decklist error. There was decklist error from Jose. He also received, I believe, a game loss for this. Forgetting to put his 15th card on the sideboard. Again, have a friend double check your deck list. It's the easiest thing in the world. Print out multiple copies of it if you're going to multiple events, that sort of thing. Don't mess this up because it costs you games at the highest level of competition. Games you shouldn't be losing. Games that are lost outside of the game are always the worst ones to lose because it doesn't really give you the opportunity to show your strengths as a player. Anyway, this main deck looks almost identical to Eric Shen's. The side deck looks pretty similar as well, except for he's on Light Mirror. Oh, wait. There's a Lila over the second Caius. That was something that I thought was really interesting. He can charge for Lila in this deck. Opting to not play the second Caius does improve your speed with the deck a little bit, but Caius is such a haymaker, it's a little bit hard to make that argument. I've seen people play 3, I've seen people play 1, and then majority of people play 2. I don't really know why people don't play 2, but I guess it's probably just a space concern, and he wanted to fit the Lila. Lila's not a bad card. It's a way to break back row up and then force bottomlesses and then potentially mill some of your pieces. It's just in a deck with this many normal summons, taking a full turn off to normal summon a Lila can be really detrimental because Lila doesn't impact your opponent's tempo. Lila impacts spells and traps, which are not tempo plays unless they are affecting you. So, like, for example, if I normal summon a Lila, that's my whole turn. That Lila's not killing my opponent's Shura or Sirocco or whatever, so it's actually setting me a full turn behind. I generally think that that's the reason why people don't play Lila in this deck. It does have applications. I'm not going to say it doesn't have applications. Being able to break something and then mill is a nice little 2-for-1. And then if you obviously can defend it, it'll get you even more mills. So that's obviously good. But naturally not the best option because if you look at this deck, it's got 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11... 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 normal summons. People call this deck Vayu Turbo, but in reality, it's actually quite a slow deck. It's very methodical. It's very 1 normal summon per turn until you go for that big burst play to close things out, usually. And taking off that normal summon can oftentimes be game losing. So I don't know. It's also exceptionally interesting to me because he sides Light Imprisoning Mirror. So going heavier on the light monsters while siding Light Imprisoning Mirror. Naturally, I know that this is for Lightsworn. You're probably siding out Lila in that matchup, but maybe you'd want to keep Lila as a proactive way to clear Royal Decree or a proactive way to force Beckoning Lights. So I don't really know. If you're siding Light Mirror, maybe don't play the Lila. Who knows? Obviously, it got him top 16, which is great, but once again, double check your deck list. Mask of Restrict makes sense with only 1 Caius, but generally speaking, yeah, double check your deck list. All right, moving on. The deck list that most of you guys are probably clicking on this for, the Sphere of Chaos Frog decks from Tim Pontes. If you guys have watched any amount of E3 Yu-Gi-Oh, you've seen this deck. If you guys have watched, this is actually a deck that exposes all the fake fans. I play against Tim at least once a week on the channel, and every single time I play against him, he's playing this deck. Except for like once or twice when I ask him to play something else for once. But yes, he's been playing this deck for a very long time, and it is such a sweet deck. This is going to be the one we're going to need to dive into a little bit more than usual. But it is a combo deck that utilizes Sphere of Chaos as the premier tutor engine to tutor out Junk Synchron to make powerful combo plays. Ultimate Offering works exceptionally well with cards like Swap Frog that return cards to your hands. And exceptionally well with cards that get value on the summon, like Junk Synchron, Sphere of Chaos, and Caius. So between those 3 monsters, you have a hefty amount of darks. You're allowed to play Allure you're allowed to play Allure whenever, but you're allowed to play Allure effectively when you have that many darks in your deck. He's playing a really cool 1 Treeborn, 1 Unifrog in the main. I quite like this. Just be careful your Treeborn doesn't get banished, especially because you're not that reliant on Treeborn thanks to Ultimate Offering anyway. He's got all the trap cards you could possibly ask for, the limited bombs, and then triple Reckless to build up a hand for those Ultimate Offering OTK turns. A lot of draw power in this deck. He's got the 3 Upstart, the Allure, the 3 Reckless, and 2 Avarice, as well as 3 Sphere of Chaos to tutor. So a lot of ways to churn through this deck and consistently see your combo and consistently see the cards you want to see. Sphere of Chaos is a deceptively good card. While on the field, it's also treated as light. It's a Machine Dark 1600 5-star monster, 0 defense, can be added back with Recurring Nightmare, fun fact. Once per turn, this card cannot be destroyed by battle. So it sits in play and is kind of annoying. It's just kind of like you have to attack through it twice. It acts as a nice life buffer to keep your life total high for those Ultimate Offering turns. It tutors a level 3 monster from your deck to your hand. The only level 3 monsters in this deck are Sangan, which unlocks your frogs, and of course Junk Synchron, which is your big payoff here. Junk Synchron can special back the Swap Frog. Swap Frog can then activate its effect. Even though it's going to be negated, it still returns the hand for cost. It can either return the Sphere of Chaos that you added, or that Junk Synchron, and then you can continue to make power plays that way. There's a bunch of different ways you can abuse this mechanic with offering up in play, and I suggest you watch either the stream VOD from this tournament, we covered Tim multiple times, or any of the matches that I've uploaded this channel, 8-man tournaments playing against Tim, testing games that I played against him, members only videos where I've played against him, and you can see him use this Ultimate Offering to great effect. I've had a lot of great matches against him playing this deck, and I think it's a really, really unique and cool combo deck because it can also play kind of a fair grindy game when you don't see your combo pieces. Let's say you're just on like a Swap Frog plus Junk Synchron or Swap Frog plus Sphere of Chaos hand. That can play a pretty strong fair game as well. On top of that, you get access to a little bit more consistent of a draw engine than some of the other combo decks may have, and you get to play the mid-ground Caius game very effectively thanks to Ultimate Offering, turning Caius into basically a battle trap, which is really cool. Trag is important in this in this deck because he is able to keep his hand high thanks to the Avarice and the Reckless Greed, and you do need defense when Ultimate Offering is in play. Side deck looks fairly straightforward. He is siding 1 Death Frog as a beater to get against Glads. I'm almost certain of it. And the second Treeborn Frog for the matchups where it matters. 2 Vanities just to lock people out. 2 Crows just to defend your stuff. 1 Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer to defend your grave from your opponent crowing it. 2 Breakers. There was actually a match. He used the same breaker 4 times to Harpy's Feather Duster his opponent's back row using Ultimate Offering, which is insanely cool. I'll just say that much. He was able to put up a bunch of Swap Frogs using the Ultimate Offering, and then he was able to use the Breaker to break 1 back row and then use 3 Swap Frogs to bounce that Breaker 3 times and then reuse it over and over and over again. So that's huge utility from Breaker in this deck. And then there's a bunch of other stuff going on. The Junk Warriors get insanely massive in this deck because you can flood your board with level 2 monsters and then drop like a 5,000 Junk Warrior, which is something that happened on stream. You can make double arm OTK setups fairly easily. This is such a sweet deck. This is a cool way to play frogs, a new and fresh approach to a beloved archetype. Highly recommend anyone checking it out if you have the funds to find Sphere of Chaoses, which only have 1 printing. So, yeah, congratulations to Tim. I think that this type of innovation is so cool to see in Edison format. You just need experience with your deck. You just need a deck that your opponent hasn't labbed for, and that'll take you to top cut finishes in Edison format. And that's a formula that I myself have been using to top cut tournaments this year as well. Just take a deck your opponent isn't prepared for, and most people just will lose on that grounds alone. If you have something that your opponent can't lab out, then you're going to crush them because you're just going to have an inherent advantage. And on top of that, if they're playing a strategy that you have labbed out, you're just a tier above them. And it doesn't matter if your deck is inherently weaker or whatever if they're not prepared for it. So, all right, moving on. Congratulations to Tim. This is such a sick deck. All right, 9th place. You know him, you love him. Sack Phase Eric Shen back again with his patented deck list, his Value Turbo list with the 2 deck devs in the main. I'm not going to say too much about Eric Shen's deck list. I'm sure he has said enough on his channel check him out and subscribe to him. He's also helping us run RBET Chicago, so show him some love. One of the most accomplished players in Edison format currently, with 2 Ultimate Time Wizard wins and RBET Orlando victory as well. Yeah, classic stuff. Check out his channel if you want to see his explanations on his Value Turbo deck list. A lot of people had been, cloning it. All right, moving on. Top 8. This is what separates the boys from the men. All right, smash like on the video if you haven't already. Let's get into things. All right, top 8. We got Frog Monarchs. An OG strategy here from Michael. Heavy on the Frogs, heavy on the Monarchs, not much else. And you know what? That's what it takes to go for I believe 8-1 finish into the top 8. So, yeah, beautiful stuff. 8-1, 8-2, I guess, if you lose in top 8. Yeah, 8-2 finish. That's not bad. Get the coveted top 8, Matt. Get the prizing, the ulti Ryza to go into his deck. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Michael for playing this OG banger. All right, so for those of you who don't know how this deck works, you put a Treeborn Frog in the graveyard. You sacrifice that Treeborn Frog for a Monarch. You repeat this process until your opponent is at 0 cards or 0 life points, usually both. Opting to play 1 Mobius and 1 Thestalos as the tech Monarchs of choice. Triple Light and Darkness Dragon. This is one of the best cards against Value Turbo. I know you guys are probably saying, oh, just activate Value. When you play against decks like this that can threaten the Light and Darkness Dragon, that means you have to constantly leave a live Value in the graveyard. If you don't do that, then Light and Darkness Dragon is going to come down and just end your tournament run right there and then. Yeah, just an insanely powerful card. I said this when James Art got top 8 at RBET Maryland, and I'm going to say it again when Michael top 8'd RBET Indy. Light and Darkness Dragon is a formula for top cutting tournaments. This card is insanely powerful. This is an S tier card. It's just one of the pillars of Edison format. And if your deck can support it, it is a formula for top cutting tournaments. It's very, very strong. Worst case scenario, it's going to get you a 2-for-1. Best case scenario, it's going to get you a 3-for-1 and Monster Reborn, a high impact card like a Gorge, a Caius, or even something like a Flip-Flop Frog or a Dupe Frog can be very annoying for your opponent. So a Monster Reborn that gets you multiple negates, it doesn't get much better than that, generally speaking. Just a very, very powerful card and a hoser for combo decks as well. If you manage to get one of these bad boys down turn 2, a lot of combo decks in the format will instantly lose. Namely, Gigavice, some other decks as well. But it works exceptionally well when you have Grave Hate, because against Frogs is not the best because of Treeborn Frog. And it's not the greatest against Lightsworn, but it's like decent against Lightsworn when you're going for game, because it can stop like the Necro Gardener and the Gorse and the Threatening Roar. So it's not the worst there. Plus, it can attack over their monsters through Honest. So it can at least get you action back into the game. And like I said, worst case scenario, it's going to get you that Monster Reborn of your best monster in the graveyard. So yeah, it's a formula for topping tournaments. I think that more and more people should be looking into Light and Darkness Dragon. Ralnick, of course, played it with Mausoleum of the Emperor to top 8 RBET New York. And I think that it's just a card that's very underutilized in modern Edison format. The full Frog engine is very interesting. Flip-flop plus dupe setups are very annoying for a lot of decks, especially Titanial decks, which can be very difficult for this style of Frog Monarch, which has heavy amounts of targeting effects. Like, look at this, 11, 12 different targeting effects. Flip-flop Frog, 13 if you count Unifrog. Flip-flop Frog does a great job of untargeted, just clearing Titanial. So that's kind of like the big draw to this card. Having it in engine is nice. It can also deal with stuff like Christia if you absolutely have to. Make it a little bit difficult for your opponent to close things out against you. Double Battle Faders, top the OTKs, Torrential Mirror Force, limited bombs, Dust Shoot, limited bombs, Cold Wave Brain, Heavy Storm, not playing 1-for-1, going for the full 3 Soul Exchange to improve going second, and Double Enemy Controller. This is one of my favorite cards that I've been playing in a lot of different decks lately. It's obviously just extra copies of Brain Control alongside Treeborn Frog. Side deck, Water Art, you need it just to rip hands. Such a good card. Regeki Break Deep Prisons, extra defense for the matchups where you may need that. Breaker, Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, 1 Dark Dust Spirit. I'm assuming this is for Frog Mirrors. And yeah, just solid stuff all around from Michael. Really, really cool deck list. This is a reminiscent of the decks that used to do really well back in 2010. And also, I think a very good meta call into a field of Vayu Turbo. This deck definitely shines against Vayu Turbo. Another player who had a similar meta call was actually Juan Swagger. He didn't make it to top cut. He unfortunately ran into a couple of bad matchups, but if you expect a lot of Vayu Turbo, this deck does really well against that deck. So, good shit to Michael. All right, moving on. 7th place, Christopher on Vayu Turbo. Who would have thought? He did main deck that Solemn Judgment. Once again, that was one of the cards I said we were going to talk about. He did main deck a Cyber Dragon to improve going second alongside those double Caiuses. I actually really like Cyber Dragon in this deck list. Earlier builds in 2020 were using one main deck Cyber Dragon. I still think that's a wave. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, this deck is very normal summon heavy, so just having that extra way to reverse the board state is nice, especially going second into some decks like Glads, which can apply pressure really, really quick going first. Yeah, only one hamster. That's the change there. And then the side deck, some interesting ones. One Compulse, the second deck dev finds its home. And My Body is a Shield, reminiscent of Eric Shen's RBET Orlando victory. Congratulations to Christopher. I'm going to keep the Vayu Turbo stuff short and sweet. Moving on, 6th place, Julio Casablanca. That boy, once again, keeping it short and sweet. He is opting to play that Solemn Judgment in the main over the Charge of Light Brigade, I believe. And he cut Chaos Sorcerer from his deck list to get down to 40 cards, which is a vibe, you know? Not enough lights to go for Chaos Sorcerer without that charge, so understandable to cut Chaos Sorcerer. Side deck, he's got the Grepher in the side. This is something a lot of the players in the top 8 were doing, not as many players in the top 16 were doing. Grepher in the side is for matchups where you just want the third Grepher, which is almost every single matchup except Blackwings. You can make an argument to main this. I know some players like Oscar Zelaya have been maining the third Grepher for some time and having incredible success, like the previous weekend at the Sunday event at PPG. And I believe Oscar Zelaya also top-8'd the Ultimate Time Wizard, which we'll discuss. The last Ultimate Time Wizard ever, which we will discuss, of course, after this top 16. But congratulations to Julio on making it to top 8 with Vayu Turbo. Moving on, 5th place. You know him, you love him, Marcus Hayden, Metaphos with Frog Hero. I believe this is the only Frog Hero in all of top 16. Which is a stark difference from RBET Las Vegas, where the finals was a Frog Hero mirror match. I can't even speak straight. But yeah, Frog Hero mirror match from RBET Las Vegas, all the way to the deck doing nothing in RBET Indy, except for in the hands of Marcus Hayden himself. Metaphos, of course, subscribe to Metaphos. And yeah, shout out to Marcus for topping this with a very unique build. This looks like the build that was going around the dupeless Hero Frog build. Not playing Dupe Frog, not going for the dupe block at all, instead of going for a very aggressive approach, beating down with Alias Stratos. Upstart just to see your starters, double E-Call to see your Stratos as consistently as possible. This deck plays kind of like a Hero Beat deck in a weird way. Double Water Art and Dust Shoot, meaning you have excess ways to just affect your opponent's hand. Yeah, very annoying. I hate playing against this list because I hate getting hand ripped, but you know, losing Dupe Frog definitely does make it less annoying for newer players. However, the deck is significantly more aggressive, and I think that the more like seasoned players will do a better job into passive threats like the Dupe Block, as opposed to more active threats like Spiritual Water Art and Neos Alias. The Dupe Block in and of itself is not inherent pressure. It's actually quite mediocre if you're not able to repeat the lock, and Dupe Frog is kind of a brick. So, you know, there's arguments to not play it. A lot of players are going to say that you should play it, namely, of course, my co-commentator, Dimitri, was talking about this with me a bit on Sunday. He said that you got to play Dupe Frog in some capacity, and Marcus maybe agrees because he's citing one Dupe Frog to be able to go for a soft lock in some matchups. I don't hate it. I think it's cool. Obviously, it's the only one that was able to put up results this weekend. So I'm a fan. I think Marcus knows what he's doing. He picked a good list. He studied well. He practiced well. He actually did get deck dev'd on camera. And instead of having Dupe Frogs in hand, he had a handful of Miracles. Beautiful match where he showed off 3 Miracles in a hand facing down a deck dev backfiring. You definitely want to check that one out on the stream VOD. And check out Marcus as well. I'm sure he's going to be talking about this deck in detail on his channel. Yeah, no Junk Synchron is another interesting one. I know a lot of Frog players like Junk Synchron, but it really does look like he's trying to minimize his damage into Deck Devastation Virus, with it being one of the most popular threats in the metagame. I can't say I disagree with this choice. Sideboard looks very straightforward. A lot of defensive traps coming in. Like I said, this deck plays almost more like Hero Beat than like Frogs, like Frog Monarchs. The Frogs are just a deck thinning engine, and they act as a way to get consistent waters for your Miracle Fusions, but more or less, this is a Hero Beat style deck list, which is just the way you play it. I don't know how to describe it. Like, obviously, it looks like a Frog deck, right? Like, there's 9 Frog cards right here in front of your face. There's some Monarchs right here, but this is going to play very much like a beatdown aggro deck, and very much less like the resource control builds that have, like, Junk Synchrons and Dupe Frogs and that sort of thing. Yeah, extra deck looks immaculate. Can't Synchro, so opting for the second Chimera tech. Moving on, top 4. You know him, you love him. Gage Nim, one of the most popular YugiTuber personalities, putting his name out there and saying, I'm him, basically. Nim, more like Nim him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to Gage, not only for coming to this event, but for his incredible top 4 performance. Very, very difficult to pull something like this off. He was playing that main deck Spirit Reaper as a tech card. We ended up playing at a bar Sunday night afterwards, and that Spirit Reaper put in the work against me. I was not expecting it, and I think this card works best when you're not expecting it. So, yeah, solid card. It carried him all the way to top 4. This is a card that I believe 10FD, some of you guys may know him as a player who has won an RBET with Value Turbo, kind of progenited. That's not the right word. He came up with the idea to play Reaper in this deck, and it's cool to see that it does have that staying power. It's a card I'm not a big fan of outside of this deck or in decks in general, but getting a hand rip here and there is pretty devastating. Yeah, just hate getting hand ripped in general, but this deck looks like it does a great job of attacking the hand between the Dust Shoot, the 2 deck devs, and that Spirit Reaper. Outside of that, he's cut the Charge of Light Brigade to go down to 40 cards, and the second Hamster in favor of the Spirit Reaper. The side deck, he has a very interesting configuration. He's got the DD Warrior Lady, one of my favorite cards, and one of the best cards into Blackwings, as well as a few other decks. It gives you an option select on Rhoda to become a Banish Anything. Deals with Absolute Zero, deals with Christia, deals with a lot of like annoying cards like Judgment Dragon or Resolve Dad that may be difficult for you to get through. Helps you get through Arcus Honest, which is another setup that is quite difficult. So I really like the option select here from Gage. And then he's also got that Mask of Restrict to deal with Frogs, especially those Frog combo decks. The rest of the side deck looks pretty straightforward. Double Kaiku to deal with the Mirror. I actually really like going up extra cards for the Mirror because like you saw from this top 16, he correctly predicted the metagame. The metagame in the Chicago Indy area is very Value Turbo heavy, very Frog Hero heavy. And in the case that is the predicted metagame, you do want the second Kaiku, the Ghost Destroyer. He has no Cyber Dragons anywhere in the deck, so he opted to cut the Chimera Tech for the Mistworm. I'm assuming this came up for him at some point. If you want to see Gage talk more about this, check him out on YouTube. If you aren't already subscribed to him, he's going to be doing a deck profile and explanation there as well. Let's go ahead and get into the top 3. Third place is going to be undefeated in Swiss Nema, which is really interesting because at RBET LA last year, there was another player named Nema, different player named Nema, who went undefeated in Swiss with Machina Quick Draw. So it's funny that I have 2 different deck lists for RBETs, undefeated in Swiss Nema, from 2 different Nemas from 2 different regions in the world. It's just kind of a weird mirrored coincidence. But yeah, Nema's deck list looks immaculate. This looks like kind of a callback to Hector's first place deck list at that RBET LA tournament with the draw traps, as well as chainables like Dust Shoot and Deck Devastation Virus, Triple Icarus, Gores in the main. No bullshit, just one by you. You know, just very, very consistent list. He's got the sweepers. He's got the bottom. He's got the deep prison. He's got it all. And then the sideboard, same thing. No bullshit. The stock stuff. No Rykos. No Dynas, which is interesting because I actually think Dyna is fucked up good in this deck. And no Iron Wall, which is also interesting. I know Hector was really high on Iron Wall as a way to answer the Value Turbo matchup. Potentially that may or may not have cost Nema his finals. If he had had that Iron Wall, who knows? Looks like he opted to go for more copies of Dust Tornado against the Vayou Turbo matchups. Maybe that's good, maybe it's not. Who knows? Double Fissure, this is the deal with Consecrated Light for everyone questioning. It's untargeted and it will always hit the Consecrated because it has 0 attack. Mind Control helps against Raikou. Second place player was actually maining Mind Control, which is, I think, smart into a field of Vayou Turbo, expected Vayou Turbo, and then a side deck Starlight Road, as well as those oppressions for matchups where each of those are beneficial. Pulling the Rug as a way to deal with frogs and Diva-style decks, as well as some hero decks run into this. And it's actually not the worst card against Vayou Turbo because the cards you care about in the mid to late game are Armageddon Knight and Caius. So there's actually arguments that you could bring this in against Vayou Turbo as well. It's a way to deck dev the Caius and dodge their deck dev counter, or not deck dev, sorry. Negate the Caius and dodge their deck dev counter play is what I was trying to say. All right, shout out to Nema, undefeated in Switch with Blackwings. Second highest placing Blackwings, one of 2 Blackwings in the top 16. Second place is going to be Henry. Henry, congratulations, a player from the area as far as I know. We're going to address it, the elephant in the room, the Forgotten Stardust. We'll address it, don't worry. But the deck list looks great. It looks reminiscent of Juan, aka Swaggers, aka Juan's top 8 deck list from RBET New York with that main deck traps done. So yeah, looks very similar to that. No draw traps, so very different from the previous build. Opting to go for defense, oppression in the main, Starlight in the main, and traps in the main. I actually really like Starlight in the main in this deck. I'm a big fan, even with the draw traps. My current build plays 5 draw traps and 1 Starlight Road. So yeah, I'm just a big fan of like playing aggressively into opposing Icaruses and sweepers, but my area is also very Blackwing heavy, so obviously that makes sense as to why I like Starlight Road in the main. The side deck is where things get interesting. Just a lot of one-ups. The Dark Illusion put in a lot of work for him on camera. I do like Transmigration Prophecy. It's like a chainable way to deal with stuff. You can also get cheeky, put back your Dark Armed, or control your Grave for Dark Armed, putting back Blizzards, making it so that you have more payoff later into the game. I've actually found that sort of shuffle back effect in Blackwings actually becomes very useful in grindier matchups. To the point where I've actually considered siding 1 Pot of Avarice in this deck. Like, literally, like, that's how good I think being able to shuffle back some of your threats are in this deck. And it lets you play a little bit more loose and aggressive with some of your resources. Anyway, yeah, great deck list here from Henry. He played exceptionally well up until that moment in the finals. He made an insane play. I believe his opponent sacked for Caius. Caius Chainlink 1, target Henry's face-up Stardust Dragon. Henry went Chainlink 2, bottomless. Chainlink 3, Stardust, negate my own bottomless. Chainlink 4, Torrential to wipe the board. And then the Stardust was slated to come back in the end phase. Everyone in the crowd that had gathered around him started shouting in joy when he made that crazy Chainlink 4 Torrential play. And his opponent insta-passed, and Henry insta-drew for turn, forgetting his optional Stardust while the crowd noise had affected him. So little bit of headlights in his eyes, and that was a game-losing misplay, obviously, because on his turn, Stardust comes back. He can normal Blizzard, bring back Gale, attack with just Blizzard, play around the Gores, pass the turn back, and it's going to be very, very difficult for his opponent to ever come back into that Stardust Dragon. So, yeah, it was definitely a costly error. I mean, that's the difference between second place and first place is going to be that one misplay. One thing to note is that if a crowd is gathered around you, you got to be prepared for that. This is almost becoming a spectator sport in that regard. You get to the finals and something you got to prepare for if your goal is to win the whole thing. You got to prepare to have maybe 30 people in your ear shouting like, "Oh shit," when you make a cool play, and don't let that get to your head. You got to stay locked in, stay focused on the game that's right in front of you, and not get pulled out of the moment and make a crucial misplays like that. That is definitely not characteristic of Henry. Obviously, he's a great player. It takes a lot of skill to get to second place in one of these events. You've seen how many insanely strong players he had to get through just to get to this point. So shout out to Henry and congratulations on an incredible finish. Being the highest placing Blackwing player in this tournament is definitely something you can brag about for a very long time. And then, of course, first place is going to be Sasha. He's a regular in the Discords. He's a very strong player. He's been playing this format quite a bit. He elected to play Eric Shen's main deck, 40 cards, I believe. 41 cards, sorry. That is a very funny Freudian slip. You should probably cut one. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. But yes, made it all the way to the finals with Eric Shen's Vayu Turbo list. And one thing this deck does well, exceptionally well, is punish misplays, as we see. No, I'm just kidding. Sasha played immaculately. He played perfectly. Very few play errors, if any. Very, very minor, not noticeable to any of the people who are watching him on the stream, any of the tens of thousands of people watching him on the stream or in person. And the sideboard looks relatively straightforward. Once again, that third Grepher in the side for the matchups where you want it, which is, once again, basically every matchup but Blackwings, maybe Glads. You could argue maybe you don't want it against Glads, but probably do. It's just very good for applying that extra pressure, getting that 4K damage down instantly, and then setting up Royal Oppression behind it as a way to just clock your opponent and end the game in 2 turns. That's the turboist part of the Vayu Turbo deck, is the Dark Grepher. So siding the third makes a lot of sense, and the most successful players who were playing Vayu Turbo this weekend were all siding the third, so that makes sense. Extra deck is fairly straightforward. The main deck is fairly straightforward, but congratulations to Sasha on his incredible first place finish of the historic sold out RBET Indianapolis, the weekend of Nats, which should have just been Nats. So let's get into a couple of runner-up deck lists that I wanted to show off. There was a lot of Vayu Turbo, and a lot of people are going to be like, oh my gosh, there's so much Vayu Turbo. But yeah, this is the first, I believe, Vayu Turbo RBET win of the year. So there's been 5 different decks that have won RBETs. Don't get all doomer about the format, especially because what I'm about to show you is pretty fucking crazy. So 18th place, we had Chess Prime at 6-2, which is the same record necessary needed to make top 16, but I wanted to show off this list. Barely bubbled out. They played a really cool Gigavise combo deck list with a really interesting sideboard pattern. So yeah, the main deck is sweet, double Trap Stun plus the Trune and the Heavy Storm. Like I said in my predictions video at the beginning of this year, Trap Stun into Haymaker, Sweeper into Haymaker is going to be the name of the game for combo decks. You saw it in Juan's top 8 Las Vegas Frog combo deck, and you're seeing it here in Chess Prime's almost top 16 deck list from RBET Indy. Sweeper into Haymaker. It's a tried and true strategy. It works against everything. It's really, really difficult to stop it unless you have hand traps, and there are very few hand traps in the format. So, Sweeper into Haymaker combo here is going to be the Lone Fire plus Supervise. Maxing out on Super Solar Nutrient, as well as the Gold Tark DDR combo to make sure that you have Lone Fire Supervise as often as possible. Not playing 2 upstarts, but the full 3, a little bit more consistent than Marcus and ProStorm's list from the Ultimate Time Wizard at the beginning of the year. And then the sideboard strategy is very interesting, going into the UFO Turtles against the decks that side out their D Prisons. UFO Turtle applies pressure and cannot be attacked over without risking getting reversal comboed, as it does tutor up that very, very powerful Lone Fire Blossom. Congratulations to Chess Prime for just barely missing top cut. Next time, I am certain Chess Prime will make it all the way into the top cut, because they are probably, without a doubt, the best and most accomplished Gigavise player currently to date, next to maybe Marcus. So, pretty cool stuff, and very, very cool list. Excited to see more from Chess Prime in the future. I did host a tournament, if you want to see more of Chess Prime's gameplay, an online tournament, 32 players, which Chess Prime did take first place undefeated. It was a single elimination tournament. You can check it out on the channel. I believe the thing is called like Twisted Tournament or something like that. You can go check it out. All right, and then another deck list I wanted to show off that was 6-2 is a former RBET finalist, Matt Kozarski, I believe, Ritual Demise Fairies, which is, a lot of people are going to be talking about this deck list in the coming weeks. I myself have been playing it a lot off camera. I actually built it in high rarity and was planning to do a video on it, but it looks like they kind of beat me to the punch. So we'll still be doing that video sometime in the near future, but this deck is awesome. I built this deck on stream, I believe, and I've played it in a couple videos so far. Looks like they've made a few changes to it, a few questionable changes to it, Snipe Hunter being one of those. But it's such a powerful deck that it can take you to a pretty consistent top 6-2, top 16 finish at an 8-round tournament. So another really powerful world-class player was playing this deck. Did not have quite as good a finish. I do have to say the advanced ritual art is debated by that player who will not be named, but I do think advanced ritual art is incredibly busted, and I actually think Duname's Dark Witch is not as much of a brick as you might think. And 1800 vanilla actually goes a very long way against certain decks that kind of can give this style of deck trouble, like Glads, for example. It's also a fairy that can't really be hit by deck dev and can be pitched to Herald of Orange, worst case scenario. It's a normal summon. You can back it up with Honest. It's beater, it applies pressure. It's a turn 2 clock alongside Demise. It's actually often what I add back off of Christie on this deck. And just having access to that 2-card Demise, Manju plus Demise gets you that Demise at card parity. Basically, you're doing it at no minus, and being able to double Foolish Fairies and then setting up for that Herald plus Manju, or Heralds plus whatever else, Honest plus Manju, however you want to set up the last 2 fairies for that Christia is really interesting. The rest of the cards in this list are questionable. The Enrise, Soul of Purity and Light, the Chaos Engine with the Sangan and stuff like that. I'm much more a fan of Sonic Bird because I just want to see Advanced Ritual Art early and often before I draw the double Dunamis. But these cards aren't bad. I mean, they're like, the Chaos Sorcerer is a great card, Tragodi is a great card. Vortex Trooper is a bad card, but it is a way you can put the Dunamis back in deck. So it's not like it has 0 utility in this deck. But yeah, main deck Decree is obviously going to be great into a lot of the field, especially Blackwings. And you're not defenseless under that because you've got the Trag and a bunch of fucking hand traps. So, especially the Crows in the post board. I think that Crows should actually be mained in this deck, personally. I think it should be mained over probably Enrise and the Snipe Hunter. You should be maining two Crows, if not 3. Because one of the best things you can do in this deck is just summon one of these Ritual guys and then just have a Crow in hand. There's really not much many decks can do about that. A lot of decks need their graveyard to make comeback plays, whether that's Treeborn into Caius, whether that's Miracle Fusion, whether that's Blizzard, whether that's Vayu, whether that's Plague, whether that's whatever. Infinite number of ways that they need their graveyard to make a comeback play into a 2400 board sweeper. They can't come back with back row because he can just blow up the board. They can't come back with back row because you have Decrees. They have to come back with a monster effect, and the best way to deal with that is not just Herald of Orange Light, but also obviously DD Crow. So I think setting up DD Crows has been the MVP for me and in my playtesting. And when I do end up posting with this list in the future, I will be playing 3 DD Crows. But that's enough yapping about this. Congratulations, Matt Kozarski. Next time, your breakers will be a little bit better, and you'll end up in the top cut. But yeah, ending 6-2 for both of these players, Chess Prime and Matt Kozarski. Some pretty interesting lists if you wanted to try some stuff out. There's always a ton of innovation at RBET. Most of the time it makes it in the top cut, and in this one it did a little bit, but these are some other lists I just wanted to highlight. All right, let's move on to the elephant in the room. Konami's response to all of this, which was initially good. Initially they were like, all right, we messed up. You guys like Ultimate Time Wizard a lot. The backlash is insane. You guys can have it. You guys can have it for Nats. We'll bring it back for Nats. They brought it back for Nats. They brought back Ultimate Time Wizard for Nats, and then they scuffed the event. The prizing was supposed to be a giant card Dark End Dragon. There was a big issue with the prizing. It had ended up being a giant card Pot of Greed, which is still a prize, but we all know how Konami prizing is. You know what I mean? And the hat format event that was supposed to take place, I know this isn't really normally a hat format channel, but I feel like this is worth mentioning. They used the wrong ban list and the wrong master rule. So they brought it back and then messed it up immediately. Which I just don't understand how that's possible. Like, I'm just a guy, right? And a lot of the people who were involved in RBET Indy are just like community members, like people who would gladly work on these events if paid even a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, and Konami definitely has the money to pay their employees. Like, that's something that a billion-dollar company has the money to do, and make sure the events run well. And no, instead they have the events running hours later than they should be, firing hours later than they should be. They have poorly coordinated events where the prizing is messed up, the format is messed up, everything is messed up, and it just seems like a very simple thing to get right. But the only reason I can say that they are getting these things wrong is because they're not putting any effort into it because they are canceling the program. And that's basically what they announced immediately after the Ultimate Time Wizard at Nats. The Ultimate Time Wizard at Nats is most likely going to be the last Ultimate Time Wizard, at least at any North American events, unless they repeal this decision. They sent documents. I posted a tweet about this, which has now gone pretty viral. It has 560,000 views, almost 500,000 views, or over 500,000 views already. Talking about how some stores, the tier 2 stores, have received an email saying that they are phasing out Ultimate Time Wizard. That means There's going to be no more Ultimate Time Wizard ran at OTS Championships. There's going to be no more Ultimate Time Wizard ran at side events at regionals. There's going to be no more Ultimate Time Wizard ran at side events at YCSs. There's going to be no more Ultimate Time Wizard main event or major events at the YCSs or Nats or whatever. As far as North America goes, we haven't heard anything from EU. We haven't heard anything from Central America, of course, but as far as North America and events goes, it looks like they are moving forward with canceling the program, which is insane. And they're going as far as to tell OTS stores that these OTS stores like Epic Games that they have to phase out the program or they're going to risk their OTS status. This is kind of an arm of Konami to sort of say we will give these benefits, the OTS benefits, to stores that are willing to do what we want them to do, no matter what the question is, even if that means alienating the large, massive local communities. And even given all of the scuffed shit, even given the terrible pricing at Konami's Ultimate Time Wizard event at Nats, even given the fucking totally messed up rulings that they've had at a ton of their events, even given like all of the mistakes that have happened at Konami's events in the past, over 200 players turned up for their Ultimate Time Wizard event at Nats, even considering I threw a sold-out event down the street. You know what I mean? Like, so a lot of people still want to play this. I mean, there was over 500 people playing this format, easily over 500 people between the side events and the main events over the course of the weekend. Edison format is quickly becoming one of the most popular ways to play Yu-Gi-Oh! It's the second most popular way by far. And Konami just says we don't want to support that at all, and we also want to punish stores that do support that and want to throw side events at the regionals that they host, and maybe want to throw Time Wizard stuff. This is Konami's huge middle finger to the community, and it's unacceptable, man. Like, this is just, I can't do everything on my own. There's a lot of other tournaments that are coming up, you know, a lot of other proper Edison format tournaments coming up, namely the PPG events, which have been fantastic, but a bunch of other ones too. If you're in touch with the community, if you've joined the Discord in the description below, you can find these events. But going after people's local stores like this, come on, man. Like, that's so whack. It's like it just reeks of like shrieking toddler, like not being able to just yell at people and tell them to do what they want, which is crazy. I mean, I got a bunch of like negative comments, obviously, from after RBET Indy from people who are really big fans of Konami, and that's understandable. Like, you know, if you really want to play in the Ultimate Time Wizards and you don't like me as a person, that's understandable. Like, that's totally fine. I'm just here to like provide a place for people who want to play Edison format and want to play at a well-ran event with good prizing. And if that's something people don't want, like, they don't have to come to the RBETs. That's totally fine. If people want to play at a Konami event and if they want to have terrible prizing and they want to have terrible rulings and they want to cheat, which allegedly happens at a lot of these events, they don't have to come to the RBETs. Actually, I prefer if they didn't, honestly. And that's totally fine. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm just doing this so that people have a place to play. But what's insane is after this tweet of them pulling it from local stores, there was nobody defending it. I think we've gotten to the point where, like, even the Konami writers have learned to shut the fuck up, because this is pretty indefensible. This is like, it's clear that Edison is like at least a quarter the size of Modern player base wise, and other Ultimate Time Wizards, when we factor all of the formats combined, it's looking closer to, like, I'd say 50% of the way people play this game nowadays. Not counting Master Duel, of course, but, like, in paper, it's about 50% of the way people play this game. So, canceling that program is just crazy. It's just, like, it doesn't make any sense. It's, like, how can you look at, like, all of the GOAT community, all of the Hat format community, all of the Redo format communities, and especially all of the Edison communities? How can you look at all of that and just be like, yeah, we know you guys are loyal customers, we know you guys come to all our events, we know you guys have supported this game for the last multiple decades in some cases, but we fucking hate you guys and we don't want you to even have fun at your local stores. And actually, we're going to punish your local stores and not give them product if they try to throw tournaments for you guys. Like, that's crazy. That's so messed up. I'm hoping to throw more RBETs as a result of them canceling the Ultimate Time Wizard program. I'm hoping to sort of step in as much as I can, but I'm one guy. So if you have the ability to throw Edison tournaments and you have the ability to put on for the community will show up. Clearly, like hundreds of people showed up to this. Every RBET sells out. If you throw Edison format events, the community will come. If you throw retro events and market it properly, the community will show up for it, and you will have a successful event. So if you're in a position to do that, do that. And if you're in a position to cancel your OTS with Konami and you feel like that's the right decision for you or your store, this doesn't appeal to a lot of people, or not appeal to a lot of people, but this isn't a CTA for a lot of people, but just stores. I say do that, man. Stop working with companies that want to bully you for the events that your communities, your local communities want to run. Side with your local communities. Side with the people in your region, in your city. Side with your customers. Don't side with Konami. They don't matter nearly as much as your customers do. I promise you that. At the end of the day, it's going to be better for your business if you have customers in your business. That's it. Full stop. End of story. Anyway, small rant, small frustration. It's crazy to be like, we put on this incredible, beautiful event, we were able to donate to charity, everyone in the community. The event was seamless. It was literally perfectly ran. It started on time, like I said. The event rounds went perfectly. The stream went perfectly. Alexis put on one of the best streams ever. Totagon is the GOAT. Oh my god. And at the end of it, Konami was just like, actually, fuck all of you. Fuck every single one of you. We hate you all. Oh my god, I can't. It makes me crash out so hard, and I'm crashing out so hard right now, which is like, dude, how can we do all of this? How can we make all of this happen? And Konami still just like hates us. Why even put on Ultimate Time Wizard in the first place if you're just gonna delete it later? Why even do that? Why? What was the thought process? What did you think would happen? You throw these massive events, and then people love them, and then what did you think would happen when you canceled it? What the fuck is going on, man? This is not something Kazuki Takahashi would have wanted. That's so crazy, man. It's so crazy. It's so, like, just out of touch. So out of touch. They need people on the ground as a company, community members. They need people communicating with the community members, communicating with the personalities. How come all of the major personalities are coming to an RBET and not the fucking national championships? What is going on? How are they this out of touch? They should be involved with the people who are communicating what is happening with their game to its customers. They should be involved with the content creators. It's 2025, dude. It's not 2000 anymore. It's not like something that you can ignore. Like, creator-based marketing is everything now. Like, this is just like, it's so backwards. I wish that there was a better way to, like, put this into words, but it's like greed maxing at the detriment of the entire player base. It just feels like they want to kill this game. And, if they want to kill Modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, fine. We'll still throw grassroots events for Ultimate Time Wizard, and, but just don't take us down with you. Like, don't build us up only to tear us down. It's giving abusive relationship behavior. Literally. They amp you up and then they tear you down. It's literally straight out of fucking Whiplash, bro. It's such a fucking crazy, like, just like, where is this coming from? I don't even know. All right, end rant. Thank you guys for coming to this. Thank you guys for feeding starving kids. Thank you guys for putting on and creating a community that is just a blast to be a part of. And you know what? I'll see you guys in the next vid. Very excited for the stuff that's to come, especially more RBET announcements. And I apologize to everyone who's going to lose out because of this, whether that's your OTS championships or your regional side pods or your Ultimate Time Wizards that you were looking forward to get into. I apologize to you guys, and I'll do what I can to make it up to you guys with RBET and supplemental tournaments. All right, later, guys. Peace.